any spoilers, was there a particular scene or character that you started this book with, or did you start from the very beginning of the story?
I did. I started from the very beginning of the story. I knew from the beginning, I had that idea of Debbie and her friend Lo, and I knew that I wanted to tell a story about an unusual friendship, and a story about two characters who don't have a lot in common on the page necessarily, as far as their personalities go. So I knew that was kind of the basis I wanted to start with, was these two characters, and I knew that Debbie was going to have this ability to hear the bones of the dead, and her job is to go out with the local sheriff and recover the bodies of the hikers that go missing off the Ozark Trail. And unfortunately, a lot of hikers have gone missing lately. There's a lot of bad stuff going on up there in the woods. And so I started with that concept of Debbie and her gift, or her ability to hear the bones. And that's really where the story started, right at the beginning.
So another thing that's really beautiful is the cover. Absolutely stunning cover. The symbolism is unreal. And for all the book club members, we've had several discussions on not the best covers that are also not related to the plot of the story at all, but this cover is definitely related to the story. It gets the message on being beautiful. So did you have any role in designing this?
No. No, I mean, a little bit. I've been really lucky that all of my covers are designed by, I've had the same cover designer for all of my books. And if you look over at them on the little table over there, you can see they all look really good together. Pointing at Rachel, thank you, Rachel. They look really good together, and they all kind of have a unified aesthetic. And that's because they have had the same designer, and that's really unusual at Penguin. Penguin's the largest publisher in the world. Usually you just get stuck with whoever you get stuck with, and it's kind of like one of those you get what you get and you don't throw a fit kind of situations. But I've been lucky to have the same one, and she really gets my stories down, and I always know that she's going to get it. And it's really nice to know that she understands what I'm trying to do, and she understands the look we're going for. My agent and I do have some, some feedback we can give. We have some pull in cover design, but we've always been really happy. We've never had to be like, no, this doesn't work for us. So it's been nice to have someone who gets it. This book in particular, if you have a copy of it, if you've seen it, there's a lot of little Easter eggs on the cover of this book. There's the compass up here and the key down here, and my favorite thing about the cover of this book is that paw print down at the bottom. If you have seen it or you have seen it, and that's the Ozark Howler's paw print down at the bottom there. And he reminds me, the Ozark Howler paw print on this cover reminds me a lot of the alligator eye on the cover of Dark and Shallow Lies, if you've seen that book. It's over there, you should check it out. And one of the things early on that my agent and I did say when we saw the early cover design for Dark and Shallow Lies is, we love this, we love the decayed flowers and the words in the water, and it's all great, but we think it needs something a little more ominous, something a little more creepy. And my editor was like, I think you're right, but what could it be? And I was like, how about an alligator eye? And so he was mine. I added him on there. And since then, we've tried to include some kind of little extra creepy thing. That there's a coral snake on the cover of One Last Breath, because this takes place in Florida, and it's a weird, just highly venomous snake that we happen to have there. But he's also colorful and kind of cool looking. And so he's on there, and there's always something that's a little bit creepy. So I love that Howler paw print. He's my favorite on that one.
My favorite lines. It's a good one. It says, and you'll note that it's toward the back of the book. The only thing worse than knowing you're alone in the it's Ozarks, but it's spelled different. I'm sorry, I'll start over so that you can get the line, but it's A-U-X-A-R-C.
Because it's French, y'all.
So the only thing worse than knowing you're alone in the Ozark Trail in the middle of the night is knowing that you're not. Right? So first of all, what a great line. Second of all, how true is that? Most of us who have been out in the woods in the Ozarks have felt that. Usually it's a raccoon and it ends up being fine, but we're like, and in fact, Miss Anna went camping weekend, and she's like, I swear this is where the book was set. There was even like a cabin in the woods, and it was a little creepy. She's like, I shouldn't have read the book before I went out there. So this one sentence, you created a lot of suspense. I'm curious about other ways that you create suspense in your writing.
Yeah, you know, because I write thrillers and mysteries, my job is to keep you turning the pages. And suspense is the engine that drives that. It's the thing that makes readers keep reading. So I always tell people, I start with setting in my story. A lot of writers start with characters or plot, but I always start with setting. And I say, okay, this is the place I want to tell a story. Who might live there in this place? And how can I make their lives miserable? What can I do to really mess them up? And when I ask myself that question, I start getting a lot of really interesting answers in my head. And I think of ways to keep that plot turning. And you know, suspense is funny because you have to give readers enough to keep them moving, but you can't give them too much to give it away. And so I always kind of liken it to like leaving little breadcrumbs. You know, you get a little crumb here, you get a little crumb here, but you don't get to put the pieces together until the end. And I love that feeling, you know, that suspenseful feeling, and that feeling of kind of like going up the hill on a roller coaster, you know. All of that is the same feeling you get when you're turning the pages of a good story and you're like, what's gonna happen? And in movies, you know, they have it kind of easy because they have music, they underscore with music to make you feel that, right? And you know when that music comes in, oh, that you're supposed to feel this way, and it's a big clue. We don't have that in novels and in writing, so we have to kind of underscore our suspenseful moments ourselves with atmospheric bits or with little hints of danger, with little bits of setting, anything we can put in there to make it creepy. So I love creepy atmosphere and creepy places. My son and I travel a lot to spooky haunted places, and I'm always looking for good little bits of atmosphere that will creep you out that I can steal to put in there.
So you go visit someplace and you're like, this is creepy, why?
Yeah, you know, we've been to the cemetery in Sleepy Hollow where the horseman rides from. We've spent the night in the murder room at the Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast. We've been all over the place. We are haunted tourism people. And yeah, when you get that feeling, you know, I'm a skeptic. I should tell you guys this up front. I'm not a believer in like ghosts and psychics and weirdness. But I'm a skeptic who really wants to believe. Yeah. I'm a skeptic who wants to be proven wrong. So I'm a skeptic that's really fascinated, and you know, I would love to have an encounter with a ghost or a really true psychic phenomenon or something. So I'm always like, you know, like why is it? I know it's not haunted because I don't believe in ghosts, but why does this place feel weird? What is it about it that makes it seem weird? Is it the atmosphere, or the sound, or the colors, or you know, what is it that's creeping me out? So it's a little bit of an experiment.